Welcome to the Power Book of Podcasts. Unlock your potential with powerful book summaries that inspire personal growth and broaden your understanding of the world. Each week, we explore life-changing ideas, from leadership to mindset strategies to keys for happiness and success. Learn actionable insights to apply in your daily life. Join our growing community of thinkers and seekers. Like, comment, and hit that subscribe button now. It's time to supercharge your mind with the Power Book of Podcasts.
All right, get ready, because today we're going deep into the mind of men, at least according to Steve Harvey.
Right.
And his book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man.
Oh.
We're going to unpack his take on what men really want in relationships and some of his, shall we say, interesting advice on navigating the dating world.
All right.
So are you ready to try to decode the male species?
Let's get into it.
Okay.
You know, I think what's really fascinating about Harvey's approach is that he tries to simplify all the complexities of male behavior. He argues that men, they're driven by three fundamental needs. Establishing their identity, proving their worth through their careers, and achieving financial stability.
So he's basically saying, show me the money, with the motto of the male species.
It's definitely more nuanced than that.
Okay.
But his point is that these three needs often dominate a man's focus.
Okay.
Especially early on in life.
Right.
He actually uses a personal anecdote about his own struggles to make it as a comedian and how that ambition consumed him until he felt secure in his career.
Okay.
So he suggests that until those core needs are met, men might not be fully ready to prioritize a serious relationship.
So it's like he's saying a man's got to build his kingdom before he can find his queen.
Right.
I can see how that makes sense, especially in a society that puts a lot of pressure on men to be providers.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, does this line of thinking still hold up today? You know, in a world where women are increasingly independent, successful?
That's a great question.
You know?
It's definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
I mean, his book was published over a decade ago.
Right.
And the dating landscape has definitely evolved since then.
For sure.
But I think his underlying point about understanding a man's core motivations, whatever they are, is still relevant.
Okay.
It's about figuring out what makes him tick, you know, what drives him, how those factors influence his approach to relationships.
Okay, so let's say we get that a man might be focused on building his career, achieving financial stability.
Right.
How does that translate into his dating behavior?
Well, Harvey uses a rather intriguing analogy to explain how men categorize the women they date.
Oh, okay.
He compares it to fishing.
Fishing. Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Lay it on me.
He distinguishes between two types of fishermen.
Okay.
Sport fishing and those fishing to eat.
Okay.
Sport fishermen are all about the thrill of the chase. The excitement of the catch.
Okay.
They might reel you in, admire you for a while, but then toss you back.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Not exactly the kind of fisherman you want to get hooked by.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keepers, on the other hand, are looking for something substantial, something to take home, nurture, to build a life with. They're not looking for a fleeting moment of excitement.
Right.
They're seeking a deeper connection.
So how can you tell if you're dealing with a sport fisherman or someone who sees you as a keeper? Are there any telltale signs?
Well, Harvey provides some interesting, although perhaps somewhat generalized clues.
Okay.
He suggests paying attention to how a man introduces you to his friends and family.
Okay.
A sport fisherman might keep things casual, just introducing you by name.
Right.
But a keeper, he'll proudly introduce you as his girlfriend, his lady, signaling that you hold a special place in his life.
So it's all about the label.
Well,
this is insert your name here, my girlfriend.
It's more about the intention behind it.
Okay.
Is he trying to integrate you into his life? Or is he keeping things compartmentalized?
Okay.
Another thing Harvey highlights is how he handles finances.
Okay.
Does he consistently pick up the tab, showing a willingness to provide? Or does he always split the bill, keeping things transactional?
Okay, so I'm starting to see where he's going with this.
Yeah.
It's about looking beyond the surface.
Yes.
Paying attention to those subtle cues.
Exactly.
Observing his actions.
Yeah.
And seeing if they align with his words.
Got it.
He also suggests paying attention to his punctuality.
Okay.
If he's constantly late,
it
might signal a lack of respect for your time.
Right.
A keeper will prioritize you.
Okay.
And make an effort to show up when he says he will.
Okay.
And perhaps most importantly, consider how invested he is.
Yeah.
In getting to know the people who are important to you.
Okay.
Is he eager to meet your friends and family?
Uh-huh.
Or does he come up with excuses?
It was about whether he's making an effort to be a part of your world.
Right.
Not just inviting you into on his terms.
Exactly.
But I gotta say, some of this advice feels a little outdated, you know?
Okay.
Does a man's willingness to pay for dates these days
really signify his intentions?
That's a fair point.
You know, though.
It's important to remember that these are generalizations.
Yeah.
You always have to consider the context of your individual situation. Mm-hmm. What might be a red flag in one relationship could be perfectly normal in another.
Right.
The key takeaway here is to be observant.
Okay.
Trust your gut.
Uh-huh.
And don't be afraid to ask yourself, does this feel right?
Does this feel right? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say you've been dating a guy for a while. Mm-hmm. And you're starting to wonder if he sees you as a keeper.
Right.
How do you move from casual dating
to
something more serious? Mm-hmm. What's Harvey's take on that?
This is where things get a little controversial.
Uh-oh.
Harvey is a big advocate for what he calls the 90-day rule.
Ah, yes, the infamous 90-day rule.
Yes.
Let's unpack that, shall we?
Essentially, he suggests that women hold off on becoming physically intimate with a man for the first 90 days of dating.
90 days? That's quite a wait.
It is.
What's the rationale behind that?
Harvey believes that physical intimacy can cloud judgment.
Okay.
Making it harder to see a man's true character and intentions.
So it's like a probation period.
Yeah.
You're basically putting him through a series of tests.
Right.
To see if he's worthy of your affections.
You could say that.
Okay.
He compares it to the 90-day waiting period for benefits at a new job.
Oh, okay.
You need to prove yourself before receiving the perks.
Okay.
He argues that by holding off on intimacy, you have a chance to observe his behavior, his consistency, how he treats you and others, without the added layer of physical connection.
So you're saying that taking things slow can actually give you a clearer picture of who he really is.
Right.
I could see how that makes sense.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that make dating a lot less fun?
Well, it depends on your definition of fun. Harvey's point is that rushing into intimacy can sometimes lead to heartbreak and disappointment down the line.
Right.
He encourages women to take control of the pace of the relationship.
Okay.
And not let their emotions override their logic.
It's about prioritizing self-respect, making sure you're not settling for less than you deserve.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, 90 days is a long time.
It is.
Do you think most women actually follow this rule?
The 90-day rule might not be for everyone, and it certainly sparked a lot of debate.
Sure.
But I think the underlying principle of taking your time and making sure you're making informed choices is something everyone can benefit from, regardless of how long they choose to wait.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's about being intentional about your relationships.
Exactly.
And not letting things just happen to you.
Yes.
Let's say you've made it through the 90-day waiting period.
Okay.
You've gotten to know the guy. Things are progressing well.
Right.
What are some of the potential red flags to watch out for, according to Harvey?
Well, he delves into a few common relationship challenges, including the phenomenon of the mama's boy.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Right.
Everyone knows at least one mama's boy.
Yeah.
What's Harvey's take on this?
He shares a story about a woman who felt like she married a boy, not a man, because of his excessive attachment to his mother.
Okay.
And he highlights the potential pitfalls of dating a man who hasn't fully individuated from his mother.
Right.
And the importance of setting clear boundaries early on.
So it's not about demonizing mothers.
Right.
It's about making sure your partner is capable of emotional maturity and healthy boundaries within his relationships.
Recognizing patterns and potential issues before they escalate.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's tackle a topic that's a little more sensitive.
Okay.
Infidelity. What's Harvey's take on why men cheat?
He suggests that it's often less about a lack of love and more about a need for validation, a feeling of being unappreciated, or a desire for something new and exciting.
So it's not always about seeking sexual gratification.
Not necessarily. He argues that sometimes it's about seeking emotional validation, feeling desired or escaping the mundane routine of everyday life.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But before we go any further,
Right.
I think it's important to emphasize
Yes.
that understanding the reasons for infidelity doesn't excuse the behavior.
Absolutely.
Cheating is a betrayal of trust.
Mm-hmm.
It can have devastating consequences for a relationship.
Understanding the why can provide context,
Okay.
but it doesn't diminish the pain and damage caused by infidelity.
So what advice does Harvey offer for women dealing with infidelity?
He stresses the need for clear consequences.
Okay.
If a man cheats, there need to be repercussions. It's about setting boundaries.
Yeah.
Showing that you won't tolerate disrespect.
Okay.
He also acknowledges the potential for growth and change
Yeah.
after such a breach of trust.
Uh-huh.
But it's a difficult journey.
Right.
That requires open communication, a willingness to confront the issues, and a commitment to rebuilding trust from both partners.
Okay.
Ultimately, it's a decision that each individual needs to make based on their own values and circumstances.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
There's no easy answer when it comes to dealing with infidelity.
No.
It's a deeply personal
It is.
and complex issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Harvey's advice to set clear boundaries and expectations
Yes.
is sound, regardless of the situation.
Definitely. It's about knowing your worth and not settling for a relationship
Yeah.
that doesn't align with your values.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground
Yeah.
in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
We've explored Harvey's take on the 3 fundamental needs that drive men.
Right.
The sport fishing versus keeper analogy, the controversial 90-day rule,
Yeah.
and the challenges of dealing with mama's boys and infidelity. When we come back, we'll delve into his advice on how women can create fulfilling and lasting relationships.
Yes.
Including his tips on setting standards, communicating effectively,
Right.
and, of course,
Oh.
how to get that ring.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back. So far, we've been dissecting Steve Harvey's take on the male psyche, but now it's time to kind of flip the script and talk about how women can create the relationships that they really desire.
Exactly, because let's face it, relationships are a two-way street.
Yes.
Understanding men is one thing, but knowing how to advocate for your own needs and desires is equally important.
Absolutely. And one of the key messages that Harvey emphasizes is the power of setting standards.
Okay.
He argues that women often fall into the trap of trying to please men without clearly communicating their own needs and expectations,
Right.
which can lead to resentment and unhappiness down the line.
So he's saying women need to be more upfront
Yeah.
about what they're looking for.
Yes.
What they're willing to accept.
Right.
What they absolutely won't tolerate.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid to speak your mind.
Precisely. He believes that women have more power than they realize
Okay.
to shape the course of their relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about being demanding or controlling.
Right.
It's about being clear about your values
Okay.
and what you're looking for in a partner.
But how do you do that?
Yeah.
Without sounding like you're laying down the law.
Right.
Or coming across as too aggressive.
Yeah.
Especially in the early stages of dating, when you're still trying to figure things out.
Well, Harvey provides some practical tips on how to communicate your standards effectively.
Okay.
For example, instead of saying, I can't stand late people,
Okay.
try framing it in a more positive light. Like, I really value punctuality and appreciate it when people respect my time.
Okay.
It gets the message across without sounding accusatory
Right.
or putting the other person on the defensive.
It's about setting the tone
Yeah,
for the kind of respect that you expect in the relationship.
exactly.
Like from the start.
And it gives another example around the topic of exclusivity.
Right.
Instead of saying, if you're seeing other women, I'm out.
Oh.
Try saying, I'm looking for a monogamous relationship.
Right.
And need to know we're on the same page.
Okay.
It's a more direct and mature way to address the issue without resorting to ultimatums or threats.
It's about having those crucial conversations early on.
Yes.
To avoid misunderstandings and potential heartbreak down the line.
Exactly.
But what about the big question?
Yeah.
It's on so many women's minds. How do you get the ring?
Right.
Does Harvey offer any insights on that?
He does. He challenges the traditional notion that women should passively wait for men to propose.
Okay.
He encourages women to be upfront about their desire for marriage and to initiate conversations about their future together.
So don't be afraid to put it out there, ladies.
Right?
If you're looking for a long-term commitment,
yes,
make sure your partner knows it.
Exactly. He believes that many women shy away from expressing their desire for marriage for fear of scaring men away.
Right.
But he argues that if a man is truly committed to you, he'll be open to discussing those plans. And if he's not, well, it's better to know sooner rather than later.
So it's about being clear about what you want.
Yes.
And not wasting time on a relationship that's not heading in the same direction.
Precisely. And he emphasizes that it's not about pressuring a man into marriage or issuing ultimatums.
Right.
It's about having a mature and open conversation about your expectations.
And making sure your goals are aligned.
Because at the end of the day, a successful relationship is about building a life together.
Yes.
And that requires a shared vision for the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means having the courage to walk away if your visions don't align.
He's saying that knowing your worth also means knowing when to walk away from a situation that's no longer serving you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that you are worthy of love and happiness, regardless of your relationship status.
That's such an important message.
It's
about finding fulfillment within yourself, not relying on a partner to complete you.
And Harvey also acknowledges the societal pressures and double standards that women face when it comes to relationships and success. He talks about the challenge of being a strong, independent woman in a world that often expects women to be submissive or to choose between career and family.
So he's addressing that age-old dilemma.
Can women really have it all?
He believes they can.
Okay.
He argues that women shouldn't have to choose between being successful and finding love.
Okay.
It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot where both partners feel valued and supported in pursuing their individual goals and aspirations.
It's about challenging those outdated gender roles.
Yeah.
And creating a partnership that's based on mutual respect
and
a shared vision for the future.
And he emphasizes that men and women can both be strong and successful while also creating a loving and supportive relationship.
It's about breaking free from those limiting beliefs about what a relationship should look like.
Yes.
And creating something that works for both individuals.
And speaking of breaking free, one of the things I appreciate about Harvey's approach is that he encourages women to embrace their individuality. He emphasizes the importance of self-love and self-respect as the foundation for any healthy relationship.
So he's basically saying you need to love yourself before you can truly love someone else.
Exactly. He encourages women to invest in their own personal growth, to pursue their passions, and to create a life that they're proud of. He argues that when a woman loves and respects herself, it radiates outwards and attracts men who are worthy of her love.
It's about recognizing your own worth and not settling for anything less than you deserve. It's about setting the bar high. Not just for potential partners, but for yourself as well.
And that, I think, is one of the most empowering messages in his book. It's about taking control of your own happiness, both within and outside of relationships.
It's about recognizing that you have the power to create the life and the relationships you desire. But before we dive into our final thoughts, let's take a moment to recap the key takeaways from this second part of our deep dive.
We've talked about the importance of setting standards, communicating your needs effectively, and having open and honest conversations about your expectations, especially when it comes to commitment in the future.
We've also explored the power of self-love and self-respect and the importance of creating a life that you're passionate about, both for your own fulfillment and for attracting a partner who values and appreciates you for who you are.
And now it's time for our final thought. Something to ponder as you navigate the complexities of love and relationships.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been taking a deep dive, into Steve Harvey's Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. Exploring his insights into male psychology and his advice for women navigating the dating world. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From those 3 fundamental needs that drive men to the importance of setting standards, the 90-day rule, and even the complexities of dealing with mama's boys and infidelity. We've also talked about the power of self-love.
Yeah.
Knowing your worth and creating a life that you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
But now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to kind of shift gears a bit.
Okay.
And talk about something that Harvey doesn't explicitly address in his book.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Okay, so...
What do you have in mind?
Well, throughout the book, Harvey focuses primarily on heterosexual relationships.
Okay.
You know, he's offering advice to women on how to understand and attract men.
Right.
But I think it's important to acknowledge that not all relationships fit into this neat little box.
That's an excellent point.
You know?
Relationships come in all shapes and sizes.
Right.
And it's crucial to recognize the diversity of human experiences and relationship dynamics.
Exactly. So while Harvey's advice might be helpful for some, it's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all approach to love and relationships.
Right.
And I think it's important for us as listeners to take a step back and consider how his perspective might need to be adapted.
Okay.
Or expanded
right.
to fit our own individual circumstances and relationship goals.
Absolutely. Whether you're in a heterosexual relationship, a same-sex relationship, a polyamorous relationship, or any other kind of relationship, the fundamental principles of communication, respect, and understanding are essential.
It's about recognizing that every relationship is unique.
Right.
And that there's no single right way to do things.
Right.
And that's why I think it's so important to cultivate self-awareness, to understand your own needs and desires, and to be open to different perspectives and approaches to love and relationships.
I couldn't agree more.
You know?
It's about being true to yourself, being open to possibilities, and recognizing that the journey of love is a process of growth, discovery, and continuous learning.
And sometimes that journey might lead you down unexpected paths.
Right.
Or challenge your preconceived notions about what a relationship should look like.
Yeah.
But that's part of the beauty of it.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown, being open to new experiences, and trusting your intuition.
Yeah.
And remember, even if you don't find all the answers in a book, the most important lessons in love are often learned through lived experiences, both the joys and the heartbreaks.
So as we conclude this deep dive into Steve Harvey's Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, let's leave you with this final thought.
Right.
Whether you agree with all of his advice or not, his book sparks important conversations about gender roles, communication, and the complexities of navigating the dating world.
Right.
But ultimately, the journey of love is a personal one.
It is.
And the most important guide you have is your own heart. So trust yourself, be bold, be kind.
Yes.
And most importantly, be open to the adventure.
Well,
until next time, happy exploring.